Everybody there?
Hey Thor. Yep, I think we're good. So we
Seen
are.
her?
Yep, can you hear me? Oh, here I am. Hey Thor, how's it going?
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
That's okay.
My
Couple
wife had
minutes.
an emergency and I was waiting for her to come back. So sorry I'm late. I'll try and stay on a little longer today.
Yeah, no problem. Just a couple minutes. No big deal at all. So we are doing the lunch and learn, the weekly.
Hold on a second. I got
Okay.
to figure out my volume here.
So we're doing weekly charting sessions. We have a thread underneath Market Talk for any
I'm
tickers.
sorry. Hold on a second,
That's okay.
Peter.
I'm
I'm
just I'm
still
just
trying to
telling
adjust
everybody
everything
what we're
here.
doing. So we're doing a chart reviews so you can see what we're looking at as far as higher time frames. So if you have any tickers you'd like reviewed, please put them in the thread that's below Market Talk. They get lost in Market Talk pretty easily.
Sorry, guys. My daughter's in the room. You're going to have to wait here a minute or so. Peter, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here getting
I'm
my
sorry.
screen set up.
I'm really disorganized right this minute because of some stuff that happened.
You're okay. Do you
Um,
do you want to post do you want to put it off for another 10-15 minutes and start at 12:30 instead?
no, it's okay. I think
Okay.
I'll be okay now.
Okay, good.
So we want to start on APPS.
I have not opened the channel yet. I am getting my screen set up, so bear with me. So it looks like we only have 4 of them to review, and we've got a solid half hour, possibly even 40 minutes. So if you guys have any charts you want us to touch, make sure they're in the Lunch and Learn channel. I'm going to tag it so that it pops up on the screen if you've got it minimized.
By the way, whoever asked us to look at FBRR, I'm already in it. I mentioned it this morning. I alerted it. So you can go look my name up and look what I said about it. We'll touch on it again here at the end, but you can get a head start on it by seeing everything I said about it.
All right, so I've got APPS pulled up.
Right.
I'm going to flip over to the monthly. So I always start on monthly. Thor starts on weekly typically. I just peek at it monthly to see if it's even something that I have a semi interest in. I actually do like it where it is on the monthly, but I want to see a little bit more about weekly first. We're below the 200 on the weekly. We're actually below everything but the 10 and the 20, which worries me slightly. However, looking at pre pandemic era kind of things, I typically, with something like COVID, that kind of pop, I'll typically just lob the top of it off and go something along like pretend like the stuff that happened up there didn't, so I don't get attached to how much money this made when it was running big as part of that whole crazy time. So what I'm looking at is that we're really holding nicely above. We dipped down into the range that we were in 2018-19. It was a very long range hold, so we're back above there, which for me makes it a nice speculative long. I haven't looked at options on this. I don't know what kind of volume there is, so that kind of thing would come into play. I do not love the gaps that are here on the daily. So the gap from February 9th looks like it was an earnings gap. So it definitely does some really ridiculous stuff on earnings. Like we had a gap up and then 2 gaps down. Do we have news on it? Oh, it was just something for under the radar stocks. So that looks like it got a little bit of attention. Earnings happen on August 7th, Monday, August 7th. That being said, with how much it moves on earnings and not knowing anything about it, I probably would wait to touch this until after earnings. And I would like to see it on the daily above the 200 moving average, which for me is 1314, a daily close with confirmation above 1314 personally.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and I just posted something there in Lunch and Learn. I would have bought this at above 940. And if you like it now, I'd buy it here now, and I'd set stops under 940 or so. I actually like it long term.
If we didn't have earnings coming up with those gaps, I would like it a whole lot better, but those gaps scare me a lot. So I'm going to drop some levels in here. We do have a volume point of control. Let me drop that in there. It's readjusting. So our volume point of control is actually below where our near term trading was at 6.72. We've spent
I mean, I wouldn't
bunch of
buy
time there.
options going into earnings. I'd
No.
buy the commons.
Yeah, no, it would be, this would
Um,
absolutely be a common trade. This is don't touch options until after. I will
And I
probably
don't,
take leaps. I will probably take options leaps after earnings.
I just don't think there's much damage that can be done on earnings. It's already down way down to where it is now. I think you can take a chance on commons and set those stops under 940.
We have pretty easy room if we can make it above this volume area. So 1080, and really it's a range from 1042 to 1080. The next overhead resistance is 1239. And if you look back even to July of 2020, kind of in that range, it's had some pretty decent price action happen here. So I'm gonna look at this a little bit closer if we have time, if we don't end up with a bunch more to review, and I'll look at the contracts, longer dated contracts, and I'm talking like a year and a half out. So leaps for sure. My definition, and it should be the industry definition of a leap, is not a long swing. It is 1 year or greater as far as time, so that you are allowing it to be successful throughout the roiling turbulence of the market. I'm gonna put a couple more levels in here, and then we'll move on. 1955. Wouldn't surprise
By
me
the way,
for this to see 17.
the chart that I posted is a weekly.
I'm dropping my levels on weekly too. There wasn't really enough on monthly for me to even do anything. So ultimate target on the weekly is 32.19. This might be a candidate actually for the Theta Gang thing that Tom Lee, Eternal, and I are going to do at some point, hopefully. I know Eternal's caught up in a bunch of stuff being deployed, but I'm gonna go look at some contracts and go do some searching.
I'm going to post another chart right underneath it. It's a daily with the top trend line. I actually like this one. I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if I'd wait to buy this until it breaks this trend line. It goes all the way back to. I'm drawing this trend line back to May of 2022. And this is a daily. I like trend lines like that. I mean, it really hits the top of a lot of spots. I'm gonna put this on my watch. I really like it. Everybody knows I love bottom plays. Better risk reward. I mean, that, like I said, that 940 is within sight, and it's only sitting at 1081. So
All right, on to the next one. All right, next one's Carvana CVNA. I have this distinct feeling that the answer is no. Distinct. I don't know. Boy, that's a pretty chart right there.
still on APPS?
No, CVNA, Carvana. So ton of volume, 2458. Support underneath this is 3775. This thing got it just thumped.
I'm not there yet. Hold on a second. You were asking about Ryan yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, Ryan
Made a
shorted this
fortune on
from the
this.
top. Yeah,
He
no,
said he
he
built a deck on this one by shorting it.
well, it was kind of a small deck, not gonna lie. He did post a picture. Pretty sure what
They're
he made on
expensive.
this was not uh it probably built the house, is what I will say. He was shorting it from like
Well, he
325.
I'll have to hand it to him. He was on this to short it from when it was way back. I mean, he pounded and
Oh, it was
pounded and
above
pounded on
300.
it.
Yeah, he's been on this forever, so
That's why he's not working now.
right. No, he's still working. He's definitely in the car biz.
I was joking.
Right. Okay,
I don't like the
overhead
chart, though.
resistance here, looking on the weekly chart, 57.95, let's call it 60 or 58, sorry, rounding up there. We do have a pretty solid double top wick top high there back from August 2022. So when the broader market sold off, Carvana did too, but boy, do we have just a nice rounded bottom there. So I guess levels wise, looking at this, there's a little bit of volume right there in that 58 range. So I'm going to go ahead and 59.45 is where that ended up. There's really not a lot
Looking
of,
at the same rounded bottom on a weekly.
yeah, the weekly is very beautiful. 68 or 65.38. And then above that is that cluster around 80. There's a bunch of excitement around 80. So I'm going to drop it right in the center of there. So it's going to give us a range of 77, 64.
I like the way the chart looks, but I just don't like playing. I don't like playing one that looks like this. I mean, I would have tried to maybe, if I was going to look at it, I'd probably try to get in at over 55.
If it got to 55, I couldn't touch it. I would be flat, like, just because of the nature of it. I'm looking at like my son selling RVs and has been all the way through the pandemic, and they're, the disposable income is definitely going down. Looking at repairs, people are repairing their vehicles more instead of buying new vehicles. And he's been thinking about replacing his older truck that we got him originally, from when he was in high school. And I'll tell you what, watching him go through that and my 4 years experience in the car business selling, I can tell you my heavy recommendation is do not buy. You can, drive that thing until the doors fall off, because it doesn't cost you anything right now except gas and insurance. And I think that might be the general industry. So while I like the chart because of the particulars of what's happening right now with inflation and valuations, watching it actively as he's looking at vehicles over the last 6 weeks. And he got very lucky. One of our big cottonwood branches fell on the bed of his truck. I'm gonna guess this is my solid, I'm gonna guess it was about a $1,500 repair on the bed that it would have taken. They totaled it and sent him a check for $7,000. So he's already ahead of the game on that. And so I'm like, just sit on it. Like, just think any repairs you put into it in the last 3 years have now been paid back and you're ahead of the game. When somebody else is looking for a vehicle and it's new to them, Carvana obviously is new to them, not brand new. I think there's a lot of people in positions where they're deciding to repair and hold on to their older vehicles in this type of economy. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my chart in here, but even though I like the chart, if I didn't understand that context, I would be more interested in it, significantly more interested in it. Right now, I'm just not comfortable with where we are in the economy. If this were a tech chart, I would be all over it. You have to think about a lot of their aging units are sitting at like 41 to 45 days on used car lots right now. That means what they bought, they're way underwater in, and very few of them are, they'll start eventually once they get to 90 days aging, start seriously like taking them close to, like $400 above cost. But having seen the back end of the car business, they're gonna try to stick to their guns, and they might be in trouble. You can't have that many aging units that far underwater without being in trouble. So just word of caution there. All right, next one
Okay, we
is
got SQ next.
SQ. I've not looked at SQ chart in a while. And so for those of you that are not, they're new, we don't look at these charts ahead of time. So we're not like pre-planning out what we're going to say. It's like Christmas for me. I literally wait to look at it until it's right here because I want to give you that fresh, like what I look at analysis wise, and Thor's the same way.
Steve,
So,
are you there?
yep. Can you hear me? I am here.
I think I'm having trouble.
Okay.
Sorry, I think I'm having trouble with my earphones.
That's okay. So for those of you that are
We
newer,
have SQ next.
yeah, we've got SQ. So those of you that are newer listening to this, Thor and I do not look at these charts ahead of time. We've got the posts in here because we want to have a first come, first serve charting kind of situation, but we want it to be fresh. I think of it like Christmas. Oh, I did not put my Carvana chart up. Hold on just a sec. I would be very careful of Carvana just because of the cost of used vehicles falling right now. They could be significantly underwater on a lot of units. We've got average is aging somewhere like 41 to 45 days across the country right now. When you start getting that closer to 60 and anywhere near 90, car business is in trouble. And that's with 4 years of selling cars experience, having been on the ground watching this stuff happen. 97 to 01, obviously very different market. However, when you understand the mechanics behind what's going on, it can be a little scary. So love the chart, can't take it because of where we are industry wise.
The other problem is that stock didn't go down to $8 or whatever it was for no reason.
Right. Oh, it's
recover like it did.
Junk company. I will tell you that.
Yeah, have it recover like it did. Doesn't make sense either.
Well, that's short covering right there. That's for sure short covering. Okay, now on to, looks like I was muted a little bit on Discord, which is why you couldn't hear me. So I did reiterate it. It's going to be on the recording. You guys didn't hear it the first go around, but I just recapped it. SQ. All right. This is another one of those I just lop off the top of what happened with COVID. So if I just take my cursor, I'm not even looking at volume, taking my cursor over the near term tops that we've had, that 90 to 92 level has definitely been some resistance. So we'll be looking at overhead. If you happen to be long in it already, and we've got a lot of volume, we should have support at 75.21 from what I'm seeing. If we can make it over that like 91, 92 level, pretty easy room to 103. And really after that, it's pretty easy room to like 120. There's not a lot of volume up there. So if we can break through it, kind of interesting right here. What are your thoughts on it?
Talking about SQ?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it right now. If it holds above 78, it's probably okay. If it falls below 78, it probably sells off a little bit.
So I'm dropping some levels in here. Volume point of control sitting at 63.73. I'm probably a direct buyer at 75.82. So if it falls that little bit more, I like it. Levels above here, we've got 80.65, 88.51. A little bit of entertainment, about 98. Our biggest resistance we have over here is 103.62 and the 200 weekly moving average at 129. It will definitely sell from there. I do not believe we have any kind of entertainment that will push us over that level right there. Any thoughts on SQ?
I said that, holds up above 72, it's, probably gonna move up, but if it goes below 72, it's gonna fall.
Okay, so that's it. That's your, all right, works for me.
Yeah, that's real simple for me.
We have next one would be Fiverr.
Sorry, let me go back to SQ. Meant 78, not 72. I had already moved past Fiverr, and I meant 78 on SQ. Stays above 78, it can move up. If it falls below 78 and holds, it can fall back a little bit. And FBRR, I've talked about this quite a bit today. Already in it.
Volume point of control is at 2842 for all time, which is beautiful. We're definitely recapturing that on the monthly.
$370 was my alert at. It needs to hold above that. It is.
Say that number again. You cut out just a little.
3070.
30.
$30.70.
All right.
And the volume is almost half. See what happens at the end of the day.
So above
I'll
here,
post my chart.
I've got 3478, 3879, and then pretty clear skies to like 50 something. I might be a buyer here.
Yeah, I'm already in. I bought
Yeah.
it earlier today.
I use Fiverr a
Post
lot
that.
for getting projects done too. A lot.
I'll post the chart again in here.
So Thor, if you need to go, I totally we'll catch these charts and pick it up. Everybody's okay at your house?
They are now, yeah. I'm
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Just there was it got confusing for a few minutes, so I'm still trying to regroup.
Okay. Just wanting to double check. All right, I'm going to post the chart for that. I do believe I'm a buyer here and in my long-term portfolio.
I like it. I mean, big on it because I've been watching it for a long time. And it's made me a couple of small dollars on it, but it's never really taken off, and then it just kind of falls back. Then it does something and it falls back. This is the first time the chart really looks convincing.
Yeah.
How far back this trend line goes that I drew. Further back. No, this trend line only goes back to February this year. Top trend line that it's funny, I'm looking at my, I moved the chart all the way back to, I don't know, 2020. And I can see all these trend lines that I've got drawn on the chart from previous. And every time that I maybe made a little bit of money on it and then watched it fall back, so. Interesting. I need to get rid of some of these.
Next chart is X.
Which one is it?
X, US Steel. I traded this so much in the past. I am not happy with it right now. Ugh. All right, let's see what we have on the monthly. Sitting above the volume point of control since 2016, which is a good sign. This is a very good example of range-bound trading. Resistance overhead here is at 25.85. And then I'm not using volume profile here because I would have to start drawing from data that's longer than 8 and 9 years old, and I don't care as much about that on the visible range volume profile. So now's where I'm going to move into using more candles for support and resistance. So these candles kind of pulled me to this little tiny volume node, 2822. And I guess I'll pay attention to 2732. If we make it over.
Yeah, the only reason why I don't like these charts, I mean, I don't like this chart in general, but the reason why I don't like these particular plays, it's okay if you're gonna get into it long term, like, you know, you're putting it in your portfolio and forgetting
Right.
about it. These hardly move.
I'm going to drop some levels in here as far as if you do happen to be in some positions. I guess we have, honestly, if we can make it above 38.92, why do I have two there? The heck? Okay, 38.92. 43.90 is the next target overhead as far as volume goes. But I can't, not really in love here. I have made a bunch of money on X in the past, but
if you're in it, or if you're looking to get in it, and you're looking for a long-term play on it, I would probably start looking at it if it holds above 25.
All right, let's see what we have. And there is that volume, a 25.85. Yeah, I'm not, I mean, I guess if we draw some trend lines, maybe that will help me. I'm just not super excited right here.
I mean, I'm not, only because I just don't like these real slow moves. But like I said, above 25, it held, would probably be an okay long-term play, but you'd have to, you know, you're not going to get, it's not going to drop out. It's not going to drop out from underneath on you. So it's not like you're going to lose money on overnight or something.
Well, and it's not super slow. So February 22 to March. So in a 2-month period, it moved from 23 to 38. That's a pretty good move in a 2-month period. So it moves, but it's definitely range bound. It's definitely not going to trend. And we're not in a bottoming pattern. We're actually in a symmetrical triangle, which, you know, you could wait for that to come to fruition and break one direction or the other. This is something you probably just set alerts on and sit tight. I traded out of the 2020 lows and it was pretty spectacular. All right, let's see here. Chart.
We have BABA. Talked about this one maybe a week ago. China tickers are difficult.
They are. I'm not a fan. All right, let's see what I think of BABA though in general.
Me, if you're in it already, it needs to hold somewhere in here at above 90.
It looks like I've charted this somewhere. I think I charted a couple weeks ago. Okay. If it were not an ADR, I would be more interested in this chart. So just for those of you that don't know, the ADRs, the Chinese stocks, you don't actually own stock. You own a piece of paper that can just be like literally caught on fire and now you don't own it anymore. So you have to be really, really careful with it. I typically don't mess with them at all. I mean, if you're going to trade options, that's one thing because it doesn't really matter. You have a piece of paper that hopefully you're flipping for more money. If I were looking at this just based on previous levels that I have drawn, just below us, we have the 89.15 level. So we did hold that above 96.99. I don't even have to redraw it because this is an existing chart I already have posted. I am going to go ahead and repost the chart. 102.92. I would definitely not be in this anywhere near like middle 80s, 85. It's just a disaster down here. It could just continue to grind down. And it's another one that's in a symmetrical triangle right now that it really just doesn't set some alerts, and don't look at it again for a while. For me, at least.
It's in an uptrend though. You know, it did start an uptrend. It is making higher highs and lower lows. But like I said, if I was in it, I'd want it to hold above.
All right, next one is NVIDIA.
All timer.
Yeah, so beautiful. So above the all-time high I planted, that's the turquoise on my chart. That means the last time I looked at it was over here at the end of May. So I'm going to drag that up if I can get it unlocked. We put in a lot of volume over in that 425 range. A lot. It's interesting. All right, so if you're looking for entries on NVIDIA, it's really, when you've got all-time high breakouts, it's really hard to find. I mean, you have to trade those differently than what you're doing as far as range trading. So the difference between this and X, like they're completely categorically opposite of each other. Breakout trades can be traded using trend lines, where range trades have to be horizontal lines. So let me fiddle with this and get myself a trend somewhere in here.
Me, if I was looking to get in, of course, I've said all along, I don't chase anything. If I wanted to get in, I'd wait for it to hit around 440. Back to 440, you might have a chance. I wouldn't get in now. Of course, it'll probably hit 1,000.
Right.
Years.
Under 462, I would wait for the range of like 425. So 422 to 427 is the volume cluster underneath. So breakout retest, that would be an entry for me, but there's no way for me to chase this up here. So if you're in it, well, trying to find something to give you, you could just watch it follow this top trend line. So I put a bottom trend line in. Chances of us heading back down to grab it, I don't love it very much, but it is there, so I'm going to leave it. That we're just going to chalk that up to missed opportunity and carry on.
Not at 125 when I called it.
Right? Oh, well, that was a whole different, yeah, that was a whole different deal.
I said, if you're a long-term player, you buy it here and hold it. So it's probably one of my all-timers there. Cedar, that's it for me.
Okay, let me see. I think that might be, do we have?
Thanks for listening to us today, and sorry about the beginning here, but I'll do better next time.
No problem. We'll see you next week, Thor. I'm going to go ahead and catch AMD and Meta.
All right, see you soon.
See you later. All right, AMD is above the volume level that I marked at 116 from, I actually can't remember when I put this in here. However, it looks like it was probably somewhere in the range of mid-June. So let's talk about what we need out of this. Support underneath us at 114.41. this is a really good back test to the 10 moving average that we had. So when we popped up into those highs at 132 on the weekly, the 10 moving average on the weekly at 106.67-ish range, let's call that 105 to 107. And then looking at volume above us, targets are 127, 136, 141. We did put a little volume in there at 131. Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and drop that in there. More volume than I would have expected. Above that, 145.37. So if we go into trend lines, see if I love anything here. I'm going to take off the volume profile because it's actually distracting me. So I do not leave that on there other than to draw the horizontal lines, because then I just want to look at candles and price action. And I do not like that last trend line I put on, so I'm going to leave that out. Horizontal lines for me are the most important. Trend lines are secondary. Unless you've got a trending market like we were talking about with Nvidia, then it's a little more interesting for me. So really upside targets 127, 131, just shy of 132 would be my suggestion, to definitely be looking at if we can get a breakout over 131, be taking profits in the 136 to 140 range. And Meta is the last one. That is a beast of a chart. I'm going to pull back volume profile. Lots of volume going in here above the 288.79 level. Next target's overhead, really 329 is our next target. We really don't have a lot of, tiny bit of resistance where we started to sell at the 314 level. And if we correspond that, let me flip out to the monthly so you can see how this interacts. Monthly, I look at wicks and candle bodies. Weekly, sometimes, if there's a lot of confluence, but usually just the wicks. So looking at candle bodies on the monthly, I've got 322.55 as an important level. It is not a big volume level, but it's where we'll start to see resistance overhead, as that you could see some front running profit taking happening as we get near that 320 to 325 range. And then above there, if we break above, we've got 341.45. And then back to, since we don't have a lot of volume here, back to wicks and candle bodies, somewhere in that 354 range. And I need to change these to monthly colors. And I changed the colors so I know where they came from, instead of just, oh, that's a level from or whatever. All right, back to weekly. See if there's anything else that I'd love. Next thing of interest for me is 369.46, and that corresponds with the candle bodies and the resistance back from fall August of 2021. And then headed up to all-time highs. Find out what our exact number is. It is 384.33. All right, scrolling back through to see if there's any more tickers for review inside the Tuesday Lunch and Learn channel. So if you happen to post anything in Market Talk, please make sure you go in and add it inside of the Lunch and Learn thread that's just below there, because digging back through them would take more time than what we have available. All right. Okay, looks like we caught everything that's in the Lunch and Learn channel. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I will post the replay of it later. That way you can see what's on my charts and levels I have drawn, aside from just the screen captures that are inside the Tuesday Lunch and Learn channel. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you next week.